Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at organizing your landscape in Unreal. And one of the things that I noticed is that we're kind of going to go over a little bit of how everybody commonly suggests that you set this up. And it's perfectly fine the way that they do it, but we're going to look at maybe a little bit better way to organize in a little more advanced way of kind of straightening this out. I am trying out a new recording software. So hopefully this one has a little bit better FPS. And please like and subscribe. I'm going to be providing videos on here of tutorials and also a little bit about some of the game that I'm creating, so you can kind of follow along, see some of the footage, and see some real examples for it. So to get started with the materials, this is typically what you would see in your landscape material when you start out. And this is the landscape material, and the layer blends here are pretty much about the only node that's used in order to do this, because what you want to do is have multiple different textures that go onto your landscape. So that starts out here um, with doing a landscape layer blend here. So you start out and you have just this, simple little node here that doesn't really have too much on it yet. And you'll click on these and you'll start adding elements like they are here. And then you'll open these up and you'll kind of fill in what you want each texture to be. And all of this is fine. That's not really what we're looking at today, but I'm going to kind of explain this so you can see what problems occur as we go along here. So in this example, let's say you pulled out two different textures. This is maybe a diffuse and a normal map, and you're using two different layer blends here to separate between normals and your base for diffuse here. So this is going to be on our normal, and this is going to be for the diffuse. And you start out and you start building something like this. Maybe you want to add a second one, so I'm just going to do copy and paste here of these. And then you're going to build your second one, and that'll be the second layer, and so on. And then this will just go into normal, and this will go into base. So we have just your basic kind of startup structure on here, and this is what you'll see on almost all the video tutorials on this. And then you might start to get a little bit more advanced stuff on there and start building onto it. And then we'll do a landscape layer coordinate. And what happens is when you start building on this, we'll multiply this out. This is kind of the tiling on it. And for tile density, so we'll use 0.6 here. And then we'll apply this to the UV and also match this up to the UV that's on the normal. So they both match on here. And that just adds a little more tiling to it. So now we have this little structure here, and it's starting to get a little more and more complicated. And what this is going to turn into eventually would be something like this, where you have this complete mess of things going all over the place. It's hard to see exactly what they are. You might want to put comments on these to help label it, but it really kind of becomes a mess here of all this stuff that's going on and the way that all this stuff is joined up. So there's a real simple way to get all of this cleaned up, and that is to basically use one extra node on here. So this is basically the same thing cleaned up, and the comments on here show up real nicely, and this is basically the same thing as what you just saw, only the cleaned up version. So the only real difference on here is this make material attributes node. So instead of kind of tying them all into ones individually and plugging them in, this allows you to just set this complete little box here of what's in this specific material, and then connect that node over to one single layer blend down here, and then go into your landscape material. So it's just a much easier and nice kind of clean way to do it. And then you can do all the advanced stuff. If you want to start adding a lot more into it, you can start doing more complicated features on here. But I'd really suggest doing this. It's a lot cleaner and easy to work with as soon as you kind of build it up. It just makes it a little bit nicer. So just take each individual material on here, connect them up in the same way that you normally would, except for instead of putting them into each of the layer blends on there, just do the make material attributes here, and then tie that into a single one. And that's all that I have for you today. Thank you very much.